In today's legal corner, we have yet another ruling on the HISA front. The Fifth Circuit has found part of the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority / Act unconstitutional, basically the enforcement and the investigative function. Now, they're saying that the FTC should be able to oversee and comment on all aspects of HISA, and they have been able to do that on one side, on the rulemaking side, but they haven't been given the opportunity, according to the Fifth Circuit, to oversee and to comment and to intervene on the drug enforcement and the investigative side. This is going to be an ongoing thing. There's going to be no final conclusion to this, I think, for a while. I think for now, we all have to treat HISA as if it's the law of the land. But I'm interested for Jim's take, because Jim is a horseman and I'm not. I play a horseman on TV. But Jim is a regular owner, and he, has a lot of blue collar trainers that he employs who do have to deal with the ramifications of HISA and the new rules. Jim, I think you are coming from the same standpoint as me that, we needed to clean up the game. We needed to do something to drastically overhaul the patchwork regulation that we had previously, but there are a lot of hardships that come along with that. Why don't you just give us your take on HISA, where we're at, what needs to be done?
Well, it's so deep. My perspective hasn't changed from day one. I have wanted a governing body to look out for the horses, first of all. The humans are secondary to this, that we have no business without these beautiful animals. If we don't take care of them and treat them properly, we don't deserve to be in the industry, and the industry does not deserve to exist. So HISA coming in, I think it's a great concept of it. You are going to go through growing pains when you're building something from the ground up. You have an old school mentality in our sport that thinks a certain way, and we're trying to rebuild the wheel on these old school people. And it's been hard. It's been difficult. Everybody's butting heads, and now we've become more divided than ever on a lot of these issues. I love HISA. I love the concept of it. The execution has been horrible. It's been horrible in a lot of aspects. And you see two different courts now coming up with two different renderings. Now it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court just to see if it's legal or not. Forget about the execution of it from that point. We're just going to find out if it's legal or not. That's ridiculous. That means somebody didn't think this through from day one. Do I think we should just get rid of HISA and start over? No, I don't. We're a couple of years into it, and we've seen some progress in it. I think we got to build on it and get on the same team. And that comes from everybody. That comes, and I know you and I are like-minded on it, and I am like-minded with a lot of other owners that don't want to look over their shoulder at the cheaters, that don't want to have to look up and say, well, we're not going to win this race. We got no shot here. I don't want to feel that way. I want the little guy to have a fair opportunity to win that race, and that means I want an even playing field. Simple as that. How we get there, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a much more level playing field now. Like, just anecdotally, as a horse player, I don't see these big run off the screen jobs that I used to from certain trainers who you knew absolutely were cheating. And I think that, more than anything, I agree with you, like, on the particularities of enforcement. It's been bumpy along the way, and it's going to continue to be bumpy. But I think the biggest thing in terms of catching the cheaters and keeping the horses safe is the deterrence factor. And there was no deterrence whatsoever in the previous system, when it was just a bunch of, empty suits and political appointees running gaming commissions. Nobody was scared of those guys and getting seriously popped for any major offenses. And, now it's unfortunately, it's like the dragnet principle, where I think some people who are innocent and are not really trying to bend the rules are getting swept up in kind of this, mass enforcement operation that we're doing right now. And there has to be some adjustments along the way to make sure that people's livelihoods aren't completely upended. But the flip side of that is, if you get rid of it, we're back to square one, and we got nothing. Yeah. And we got racing commissions like Louisiana doing things that are clearly not right by the horses. And I think that the other thing that HISA has done, and I'm interested to get your take on this, is galvanize people to push in one direction in terms of making the sport safer and fairer. And I just don't think that there was that push for that, or that appetite for that broadly across the industry before HISA came around. Now you can argue about the particulars of the rollout and the enforcement, but I do think that has unified people in a way that we've never seen before.
I think there's two different issues here. One is the legal issue of whether it's constitutional, whether they took some of our rights away. And if Louisiana and Texas and some of those states were only fighting on that issue, I almost stand behind them because I want it done right. But they're fighting on a lot of other issues too that they don't even want this in anywhere in our dialogue. They don't want it done. So that makes it a little bit different. I do believe it's bonded some of us. It's bonded the bad people in one area and it's bonded the good people in another area. I would consider you and I in your operation at West Point and Terry and those people that do it the good guys. So we're all on one page, and then you have a lot of other people that are not on that page. But that's the epitome of our industry too. We have people like that, you know. And I have I have a lot of opinions on subjects within the racing industry. Mine goes deeper. That I think there should be a governing body for the stewards for every aspect of racing. That we have no uniform system anywhere. Whether it's me and you could sit at the track at Saratoga tomorrow or Friday, and the inquiry sign goes up, and you could say that's going to be a DQ, and I could say no, it's not, and neither one of us have a clue what they're going to do. That's wrong. We should have a governing body that looks at that thing and knows inside and out whether it's a DQ or not by a certain standard. And it goes by track. It goes by which stewards are working that day to make a decision like that. That's wrong. That's wrong. And you being the big bettor, we're both bettors. We both like to engage in it. It's exciting. And you have no idea if you're getting a fair shake in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's to me, that's the next step. Is not just that. First of all, I agree with you that a universal standard for stewards, and not just stewards' decisions, but stewards' explanations for their decisions. That needs to be part of racing's future. And I think the other thing, and I talked about this with John, that I think HISA has spearheaded, and that I think is starting to make a real impact, is the reporting, the vet reporting that is required now. Ever since they came around, California had been doing it a little bit before HISA, but HISA has kind of accelerated that, where the betting public knows everything that's going on with these horses. And that's the standard in Hong Kong, in Japan. There's a full report about the horse's training, about the horse's breezes, about the medications the horse may be on. And to me, there was no way to assemble that data before. There was no appetite and there was no logistical way to do it. Jim, you tell me, is it, I assume it's a pain in the ass, more so for trainers and vets than it used to be. But that's the kind of thing that if you want transparency in the sport, you got to have that data.
Yeah. And we've gone through recently, and HISA has actually caught up to some of the vets that were not documenting their treatments to the horses, including some of mine. So I've had to go through, and I'm an open book. I will speak honestly because I don't have to look over my shoulder. That recently HISA sent me a letter saying, hey, we're looking into one of your vets. You got to send us everything you have on. And I am more than happy to do that because in my documentation, I want that on my horse. If somebody goes to, and I think it even should be more public, that I think if somebody's looking to claim a horse, we should have access to it instantly at the track. If I'm claiming a horse tomorrow from Saratoga, I should be able to look at that horse's vet record and have it be 100% accurate. Not just because one vet didn't submit a treatment or a series of treatments, 100% accurate. And I think they will get us there because, we're going through the early growing pains of this. 3, 4, 5 years from now, every horse that's running will have everything documented on it. And we're going to have so much more information when you decide to drop a claim. You can't count on the track vet voiding a claim because the horse is sore. Don't count on that. Do your due diligence before you step in the box.